At a gathering with friends, my husband, a highly respected university professor, suddenly dropped to his knees before me. His voice trembled as he spoke the unthinkable.
Sarah, Mia's heart is a perfect match with yours. She needs the transplant immediately.
For a moment, I was struck completely dumb, yet somehow I wasn't surprised. But a person only has one heart.
I'll contact the best surgeons in New York to fit you with a state-of-the-art artificial one.
Arthur, I am 3 months away from my due date.
We can always have another baby. Let's just give this one up for now.
While I sat there, paralyzed by the sheer cruelty of his words, a girl's crisp, melodic laughter rang out from across the room.
Happy April Fool's, Professor! Your heart isn't actually a match, Sarah. I was just messing around. I can't believe you actually went and begged your wife, Professor!
The tense atmosphere in the room instantly evaporated into boisterous laughter. Our friends began to tease him.
That was a cruel joke, Mia. You put Arthur in an impossible position.
If Mia told me we were a match, I bet Arthur would have dragged me onto the operating table himself.
Amidst the laughter, I was the only one sitting dead silent on the sofa. I rested a hand over my rounded belly, my heart slowly turning to ash. Arthur had never once been angry with Mia. To him, this frail, sickly student of his was a fragile porcelain doll that needed constant protection. But this time, he stood up, his face uncharacteristically dark. The crowd belatedly quieted down. After a suffocating silence, someone whispered to Mia,
Don't joke too far. You know how protected the professor is for Sarah.
Series first started at Columbia University. A colleague made an off-color joke about Sarah, and Arthur put him in the hospital.
Hearing this, Mia froze. Tears instantly welled up in her doe-like eyes. She reached out, gingerly tugging at the hem of Arthur's shirt.
I'm so sorry, Professor. It's April Fool's. I just wanted to play a little prank.
When Arthur remained silent, she turned her pitiful gaze to me, sniffing delicately.
Sarah, I didn't mean any harm. If you're angry, you can yell at me. I'll take it.
Oh, come on. She's just a straightforward girl. She spoke without thinking.
Yeah, Arthur. She's been your star student for 3 years. You even dedicated your recent thesis to her. You can't let a silly April Fool's joke ruin that.
Arthur's expression finally softened.
Don't ever make a joke like that again.
Mia nodded eagerly. Then he turned to me, a hint of guilt flashing in his eyes.
I'm sorry, Sarah. I should have verified it before coming to you for a favor.
A favor. He casually reduced demanding my heart and my unborn child's life to a simple favor, but this wasn't the first time. Whenever it came to Mia, the usually rational, fiercely logical Professor Arthur Davies became hyper-emotional and inexplicably blurred the lines. On Christmas Eve, he had driven 300 miles through a blizzard to Boston just because she texted him that her stomach hurt. When I questioned him, he simply sighed.
Her health is fragile, Sarah. I was worried something terrible had happened.
Yet when I, his wife, sat alone in our home, 5 months pregnant, waiting up for him all night in pain, he wasn't worried. When my violent fetal movements left me in agonizing, breathless pain, he wasn't worried. Through my morning sickness, my contractions, my edema, and my hair loss, he wasn't worried. With me, he was always as cold and pragmatic as a machine.
Sarah, creating a life is naturally difficult. You just have to endure it until the baby is born.
When the hormones made me irritable or depressed, he dismissed it as female hysteria, threw out a few half-hearted platitudes, and locked himself in his study. Every single time I had to swallow my despair to avoid disturbing his work. Yet, the crowning achievement of his career, a research paper that took him 5 grueling years to complete, featured Mia's name on the very first line of the acknowledgments, an undergraduate student who had absolutely no professional contribution to the work. By the time I found out, it was already making headlines. In the interview video, Arthur looked into the camera with a soft, affectionate smile.
In my 5 years of teaching, Mia might not be the most gifted student I've ever taught, but she is unequivocally the most resilient. I thank her for walking into my life. She gave me the courage to continue my research.
Last week, I accidentally dropped my favorite vase. It shattered into a dozen pieces. When Arthur saw it, he didn't even blink. He just calmly asked the housekeeper to sweep it up. But that vase was irreplaceable. It was one we had sculpted and fired together in Italy during the most passionate year of our marriage. He had once held it up, looking deeply into my eyes, and solemnly declared it would be our family heirloom.
Let me glue it back together.
I had whispered, squatting on the floor with trembling hands, trying to gather the fragmented pieces of our memories. He frowned and pulled me up by my arm.
It's just a cheap vase, Sarah. Let it go.
My eyes welled with tears, but his gaze simply dropped to my stomach.
Is the baby making you act out again?
I tried to comfort myself. He's a rational man. I thought it's normal for him not to care about sentimental trinkets. But that night when I brought a plate of fruit into his study, my eyes fell upon a locked, transparent display case on his desk. Inside sat a cheap $20 fountain pen from a local stationery store, a gift from Mia. At that moment, it felt as though a bucket of ice water had been poured directly over my head. We had the worst fight of our marriage. I completely lost it. I grabbed a paperweight, smashed the glass case, and threw the cheap pen into the trash can. But the very next second, Arthur scrambled to fish it out, cradling it in his hands as if it were a priceless treasure. When he finally looked at me, his eyes were brimming with disgust and impatience.
Go look in the mirror, Sarah. Look at yourself. You look like a mad woman. You broke the damn vase yourself today, so what exactly are you blaming me for now?
Swear on the Bible that you hadn't developed feelings for Mia. If you had, they would both rot in hell!
Arthur, a staunch man of science, actually hesitated. It took him a long time to finally speak.
Yes. I am tempted by her.
The words struck me like a physical blow.
But we haven't crossed the line and we never will. So you can drop the wronged wife act.
Tears streamed down my face. He sighed, stepping forward to gently smooth down my messy hair.
Sarah, we've been together for 11 years. There's no freshness left. To be brutally honest, kissing you feels like my upper lip touches on my lower lip. Sometimes I even regret that we eloped to Vegas the second we turned 18. Back then, I didn't know that 10 years later I would fall for someone else.
He was the one who bought out the city's fireworks just to make me smile when we were young. Now he was the one looking down on me, casually discussing his change of heart.
Mia has a lively personality. She's not dull and suffocating like you. She likes to goof off. She likes watching cheesy romance movies. She loves feeding stray cats by the road. You used to do those mundane things too, but when she does them, I just find her incredibly endearing. I can't control my heart flutter.
Finally, he lit a cigarette. His tone was gentle, yet unimaginably cruel.
As long as you want it, the position of Mrs. Davis will always be yours. But you have to accept the reality. She is the only one in my heart now.
After that night, I spiraled into an endless cycle of breakdowns and internal torment. I cried until my eyes were swollen shut. I tried to detach myself emotionally. I tried pretending I didn't care when he came home late, when he missed my prenatal checkups, when he took Mia to Hawaii for a research trip. But I was only lying to myself. And today, when he knelt in front of all our friends, begging me to carve out my heart for Mia and abandon our 6-month-old baby, I finally realized something: this marriage was completely, utterly meaningless.
Sarah, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me.
Her voice carrying much more confidence than before. Someone chimed in to help her.
Sarah, Mia didn't mean any harm. She never takes things seriously. Remember that time she got drunk and babbled about wanting to marry the professor?
I didn't mean it like that. I just meant she speaks without a filter. Everyone knows you and Arthur have an unbreakable bond. There's no room for anyone else.
I offered a quiet, hollow smile and looked directly at Mia.
It's fine. I don't blame you.
The crowd let out a collective sigh of relief. Then I delivered the final blow.
Arthur and I are getting a divorce soon anyway. I wish you get everything you've ever wanted, Mia.
Sarah! Stop talking nonsense in front of everyone.
I found it laughable.
You can kneel in front of a room full of people and beg me to give my heart to another woman, but I can't even mention divorce?
It was an April Fool's joke. What is the big deal? Mia has already apologized and I've reprimanded her. If you keep making a scene, you're only going to embarrass yourself.
Calm down, Sarah. You're pregnant. Don't let a little misunderstanding ruin your marriage.
Yeah, Arthur clearly cares about you. We all saw it. He normally never yells at Mia.
Hearing this, I slowly turned my gaze to Arthur. My voice was eerily calm.
You weren't angry just now because she disrespected me. You were angry because she joked about being a match. When you heard the truth, you were just disappointed.
Arthur stiffened. A moment later, profound irritation flashed across his face.
For God's sake, I'm begging you, can we not do this here? If you don't care about your dignity, Mia still cares about hers. But
a tidal wave of sheer exhaustion washed over me. I closed my eyes.
Fine. I'll see you at the lawyer's office on Monday.
I stood up to leave.
Sarah, please don't blame the professor. He just wants me to have a healthy body. It's my fault.
I looked down coldly at the girl crying crocodile tears.
You went to all this trouble with this prank just to prove your place in his heart. You must be thrilled right now.
Her face turned deathly pale as if she had been slapped. I looked away and walked past her.
Sarah, don't forget, your mother is still staying at my family's private hospital.
My footsteps halted. Never in my wildest nightmares did I think the man I loved would use my sick mother as leverage to protect his mistress. After a long, agonizing silence, I forced a smile and helped Mia up from the floor.
Everything I just said was a joke, too. I don't blame you.
Mia choked back a sob.
That's good. I was so scared I caused trouble for the professor.
The farce finally ended. Arthur offered to drive me home. On the way, he uncharacteristically tried to explain himself.
I only said that to scare you. I would never do anything to your mother. You suffered a grievance today. As an apology, I'll go with you to your prenatal checkmate tomorrow. Sarah, we've been together for over a decade. It's not like I don't have feelings for you. I just wish you could learn to get along with Mia.
I leaned against the cold car window, feeling absolutely nothing. I was serious about what I said today. Let's get a divorce, Arthur. From now on, whatever happens between you and her is none of my business. The car was silent for 2 seconds, then he let out a low chuckle.
This is the 7th time you've brought up divorce since you got pregnant. Next time you throw a tantrum, try a new trick.
Just as he finished speaking, his phone rang frantically. He answered it and then slammed on the brakes.
Get out, Mia's having an episode. I have to go back to her.
I looked out the window at the torrential downpour. I paused for a second, then opened the door and stepped out into the storm. His rushed voice chased after me.
Find somewhere to take cover. I'll come back and pick you up after I drop her at the hospital.
Late at night in a thunderstorm, it was impossible to hail a cab. I stood shivering beneath the awning of a convenience store, but the person who eventually arrived wasn't Arthur. It was Mia holding an umbrella. She smiled sweetly at me, looking perfectly healthy.
See, Sarah? With just one word from me, he will abandon you anytime, anywhere.
I didn't want to engage with her. I turned to walk away. But she lunged forward, grabbed my arm in a vice grip. During the struggle, she shoved me hard. My foot slipped on the wet pavement and I tumbled violently down the concrete steps. Blinding agony, Mia panicked for a split second, then sneered. Dropped the umbrella and ran back to the car waiting on the street. I woke up the next morning in a sterile hospital room. The doctor stood beside my bed, looking grimly at my chart.
Mrs. Davis, I am so sorry. You suffered severe trauma. The baby couldn't be saved. For your own safety, we must perform an emergency DC procedure immediately. If we don't, your life is in danger. Furthermore, due to the damage, you will not be able to conceive again. If you understand, please sign here.
I was born with a condition that made it incredibly difficult for me to get pregnant. When I was 23, I had a child. Back then, Arthur was just making a name for himself in the academic world. During his busiest period, I traveled with him to 3 different countries in a single week, managing his schedule until I collapsed from sheer exhaustion. I woke up in the hospital only to find out I had been a month pregnant and the overwork had caused a miscarriage. That was the first time I ever saw Arthur cry. He held me tightly, sobbing apologies into my hair.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. It's all my fault. I didn't take good care of you. We'll have another one. I promise you we will.
It took 6 years. 6 years of praying in churches and agonizing hospital visits before we finally conceived this baby. And now he wouldn't even get the chance to be born. In complete silence, I signed the consent forms. I didn't make a single call to Arthur. After the surgery, my body felt hollowed out. A nurse helped me back to the ward. As I walked down the hall, I bumped straight into Mia. She was wearing a fresh set of clothes, her cheeks rosy. She looked nothing like the wicked, vicious girl in the rain last night.
Sarah, are you at the hospital alone? Why didn't the professor come with you?
Then her lips curled into a malicious smirk and she lowered her voice.
Oh, I almost forgot. He's at the pharmacy getting me medicine for my upset stomach. You bled so much last night you must have been terrified, right? But even if you told him what happened, he would just say it was an accident on my part.
When I didn't react, she suddenly raised her voice, feigning remorse. I'm so sorry, Sarah! Did I make you mad again? Arthur, who had just rushed over with a pharmacy bag, heard her. He immediately stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body, his brow deeply furrowed.
Sarah, can't you just leave me alone? Her body's very weak right now.
Ari stared at him with dead eyes, without a single word. I bypassed them and continued walking. Arthur watched my retreating back, his heart inexplicably skipping a beat. He stopped my nurse.
Where is she going?
Sir, I cannot disclose a patient's private medical information.
The nurse replied politely. He wanted to press further, but Mia tugged his sleeve.
Where else would she be going? A prenatal checkup, obviously. Come on, Professor. You promised to take me to the movies today. Let's go.
During my 2 days of hospitalization, I received 18 missed calls from Arthur. His texts grew increasingly irritated. I sent one single reply. Don't forget, tomorrow morning at the lawyer's office. He replied instantly. Are you seriously still playing this game? Fine. Just don't back out tomorrow and use some fake illness as an excuse. The next morning at 9, I stood waiting outside the lawyer's office. Half an hour later, Arthur finally arrived. He stepped out of his car, slowly, arrogantly adjusting his suit. But the moment his eyes landed on me, he froze. His gaze dropped, locking onto my completely flat stomach.
Sarah, where is the baby?
I followed his gaze, looking down at myself, and gave a serene smile. The day before yesterday, while you were abandoning me in the freezing rain to go to Mia, I lost this child. His pupils dilated wildly, all the color drained from his face in an instant.
What are you saying? Our baby is gone? He was in your womb for 6 months. He was already formed. What happened? Why didn't you tell me?
I had no energy left to entertain his belated grief. Let's just sign the papers. I turned and walked toward the entrance.
Sarah!
He lunged forward, grabbing my wrist in a vice grip.
Sarah! What are you hiding from me? He was my child too!
Looking at his pale, horrified face, I actually let out a laugh.
Yes, he was your child, but where were you? You never accompanied me to a single checkup. When I had my first ultrasound, you weren't there. When I had the genetic scanning, you weren't there. When I was lying in a pool of my own blood in the pouring rain, crying for help, you still weren't there. How dare you call him your child?
His breath hitched. His voice trembled violently, his eyes wide with disbelief.
I went to get Mia that night. I was so busy with work.
I shook my head. No, you weren't busy. You had time to take Mia to the movies, to get her nails done, to take her shopping. You had time to bring her to academic galas, to expand her network. You just didn't have time for me. Or for your child. He was rendered utterly speechless. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out after an eternity. He finally forced a raspy whisper from his throat.
But you shouldn't have gone through that alone. You didn't even let me see him one last time.
I closed my eyes, drowning in exhaustion. Arthur, don't forget. You were the first one to give up on him. When I was 3 months from my due date, you knelt in front of me and begged me to kill him. God simply granted your wish. The grip on my wrist instantly went slack. When I opened my eyes, the rims of his eyes were bloodshot.
That was because of a joke. I didn't mean it. I was looking forward to this baby too. I just bought a bunch of baby clothes yesterday. I hired a designer for the nursery. I've been reading the parency books.
He rasped, desperate to prove himself. Just last week, I would have given anything to hear those words, to know he cared. But right now, my heart felt absolutely nothing.
It's too late. The baby is gone.
He fell dead silent. It took a long time before he choked out.
It's okay. We can always have...
We have no future. I cut him off. It was spring in New York, but the wind still bit into my skin. He jolted as if waking from a nightmare, his expression slowly morphing back into a forced, desperate calm.
Right. We're here to sign the divorce papers.
The process was quicker than I imagined. The moment I stepped out of the law firm, a massive, literal weight lifted from my shoulders. The agonizing heartbreak I had once envisioned didn't happen. We ended our marriage as casually as if we were picking up groceries. I got into his car to go back to the house one last time to pack my things. The ride was suffocatingly silent. The only sound was the stereo softly playing an old love song from a decade ago. It was the CD I had gifted him for his birthday the year we started dating. As soon as I walked through the door, I saw a pair of fluffy bunny slippers that didn't belong to me sitting in the entryway.
Mia's lease expired. She's just staying in the guest room for a few days.
Arthur instinctively explained. I had already looked away, but he kept explaining almost nervously.
She doesn't get along with her roommates, so she couldn't go back to the dorms.
I walked into the walk-in closet. I had only been gone for 2 days, but my clothes had been shoved into a dusty corner. Racks of pink dresses and skirts now dominated my space. Arthur frowned when he saw it.
She brought a bit too much stuff. Oh, please don't be mad.
I didn't say a word. I just systematically folded my clothes and placed them into my suitcase. He stood in the doorway watching me in silence. Leaving the closet, I walked into the master bedroom. It looked exactly as I had left it. I meticulously gathered the last of my belongings. As I was about to walk out,
You forgot this.
Arthur suddenly held out a small velvet box. Inside was a silver cross necklace. After my first miscarriage, he had driven to a remote monastery and begged a priest to bless it for me. When I found out, I had laughed through my tears. I had teased.
I thought you didn't believe in God.
I don't.
He had smiled, gently stroking my hair.
But you do.
From that day on, I never took it off. Looking at it now, I offered a faint smile.
I don't want it anymore. Throw it away or keep it. It's up to you.
His hand hovered frozen in the air for a second before he slowly, awkwardly withdrew it. I ignored him, dragging my suitcases into the living room. We had moved into this house when we were 24. 5 years of memories were embedded in these walls. By the time I finished packing, the sun was setting.
Do you
He asked softly.
want to get dinner together?
I was slightly taken aback by the audacity, but politely declined.
No, thank you.
He pressed.
Where are you going? Let me drive you.
I don't need you to. I called a cab.
His lips parted, but he swallowed whatever he was going to say. He lowered his head and silently wheeled my 2 suitcases to the front door. That was when Mia walked in. Seeing me, she beamed.
Sarah! You finally came home!
Arthur felt a sudden spike of anxiety.
Go back to your room, Mia.
Why? Professor, didn't you say yesterday that Sarah is pregnant and will definitely come crawling back?
She blinked innocently.
You told me to use the opportunity to bond with her.
As the words left her mouth, she suddenly realized something. Her eyes dropped to my flat stomach. After a brief flash of panic, the tears began to fall on cue. She looked at Arthur with big, pitiful eyes.
I'm so sorry, Professor. I didn't know Sarah hated me so much that she'd go this far. It's all my fault. I'll leave right now. I'll never appear in front of you two again.
She sobbed so violently that her whole body shook, and within a minute she began gasping for air, clutching her chest. Arthur's resolve crumbled. He expertly fetched her pills and a glass of water, coaxing her to swallow them before gently patting her back.
It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself.
He murmured to her. Before I walked out the door, I glanced back one last time. Mia was leaning into Arthur's chest. From an angle he couldn't see, she looked right at me and smirked. I withdrew my gaze, completely dead inside, and walked out. The door shut. Arthur didn't look up. He just mechanically continued patting Mia's back.
Professor, I'm so sorry. I really didn't expect Sarah to go as far as to kill the baby.
How is the apartment hunting going?
He interrupted her, his voice flat.
I'm looking. I'll move out as soon as I can.
She froze, tears pooling in her eyes. He nodded and finally pulled his hand away from her.
Get some rest. I'm going for a walk.
Mia grabbed his sleeve.
Can I come with you? Please?
Arthur rarely refused her requests, but this time he shook his head without a second of hesitation. He couldn't explain what he was feeling. His chest felt incredibly tight, and a suffocating need to flee the house had overwhelmed him. The truth was, when he went to the lawyer's office today, he had fully intended to bring Sarah home. He had specifically worn the dark charcoal suit she loved most and spent the morning grooming himself. Like he told her, 11 years of marriage wasn't nothing. He had feelings for her, and he naturally assumed she still loved him too, especially since she was carrying his child. He knew exactly how desperately she wanted to be a mother. Because of that, he was willing to give her an out, a stepping stone to come back to him. But he never imagined that the child would be gone, and that he had been completely kept in the dark. Panic had set in. He hated himself for leaving her in the rain that night, so he interrogated her, demanding to know why she hadn't told him. But her answers all pointed to one terrifying conclusion. She was completely, utterly done with him. But how could that be? He thought frantically. She loved me so much. Arthur wandered aimlessly down the neighborhood streets they used to stroll together, torturing himself with that question. An old retired professor from the university happened to walk past.
Arthur? Where's Sarah? You two used to take a walk together every single evening.
An old retired professor from the university happened to walk past. Arthur's throat went dry.
Sarah's sick. She's resting at home.
The old man nodded, chuckling as he patted Arthur's shoulder.
I have to say, I've never seen a couple more in love than you two. Do you remember your first year at Columbia?
You brought Sarah into the lab to help out. That arrogant prick, Jason, made a nasty joke that she only got into the university by sleeping with you. You beat him black and blue. When the administration was threatening to expel you, Sarah went and begged Jason for mercy. She secured the settlement.
Arthur stopped dead in his tracks.
Sarah begged Jason?
You didn't know?
The old man looked surprised.
The poor girl was so terrified the expulsion would ruin your academic career, she practically got extorted. He forced her to pay $5,000. I heard she had to pawn the vintage diamond grandmother left her just to get the cash.
The old professor waved goodbye and walked away, leaving Arthur standing frozen on the sidewalk for a very, very long time. He only knew Jason had mysteriously agreed to drop the charges. He never knew Sarah had swallowed her pride and begged the man who insulted her. No wonder the heirloom necklace she never took off had suddenly vanished. No wonder she kept smiling and telling him not to worry those few days. Arthur closed his eyes. A single tear slipped down his cheek. As dusk settled, he sat on a park bench, pulled out a cigarette, and lit it. He rarely smoked because Sarah hated the smell. He only ever smoked when he was at his absolute breaking point. His phone buzzed. It was Mia, her voice trembling and pitiful.
Professor, the doctor said my condition has worsened. What if I don't survive long enough to get a heart? I'm so scared.
Thanks for watching. Like and share. Subscribe.